Yeah, willing and able. DJ Code Red, Saber. We're gonna get this started. Yeah. This is how we starting it. Let's get started. 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 Who's gonna start this? We're gonna start this.
Hello and welcome to the WhyWHAT podcast series. You are listening to Trajce, Sara and Alan Girl.
Okay, we have the technology.
Episode 9, we talk a lot about the changing world of work, the rapidly changing world of work with technology, extended reality, robotics, cobots, robots working in tandem with humans. And I love that because, again, they recognize human tasks.
I think it's a really exciting time. Right now, we're going through a phase of change where artificial intelligence is becoming more readily available on the internet, and we have to embrace it and learn how to work with it. I'm finding it exciting and really enjoying it.
I've got a client who is a work health safety manager, senior manager, pretty seasoned, older in life, closer to retirement age, and he loves the idea of, maybe taking it easier, but at the same time, he's so excited by all of the potential opportunities in the design of work that he's a little disappointed he's not 20 years younger to see more of this implemented. And I love that enthusiasm. He's just thinking there's so much that can be done right now.
So I've been one of the I don't want to name products, but one of the big new products that's out. It's great fun to play with, and I can see immediately how valuable it is.
Artificial intelligence, let me guess, some measure of, that's right. This is interesting because you get academics complaining. You have to watch students relying on too much artificial intelligence to write their reports, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of 3D printing. I could print a version of myself. I could take it to work so I don't have to work.
There you go.
What a
Why
solution.
Work? The name of the podcast, Why
Sorry,
Work?
I've read too much Asimov. I'm moving beyond this. Right, too much of Westworld in my veins. But
Princess Leia, she just got the avatar, right?
And so for me, that's why it's exciting. But getting back to just before you go on to the next point, your friend who regrets working 20 years, I don't know, the way the current government's going, he may have to keep working for another 20
right.
years.
Retirement age just keeps changing, but,
as long
he's
as he's not in Paris.
enthusiastic. Well, when we talk about that life cycle of work and you get to that retirement age, I think we have to be a lot more creative about this endpoint being more of transitional flow versus a single stop, start, end, work full-time, not work. There's so much intellect, data mining that we can undertake by relying on the skill set of workers who might want to transition out of this level of intensity and volume of work, but they could be mentors to us. So I always encourage workplaces to think about how will you use the seasoned, experienced, knowledgeable workers as mentors and help them transition and still have a role in the business, and at the same time, how will you create almost a shadow board of young, emerging professionals that can give you brand new ideas and teach you how to create avatars and use AI and, all of that. You need the double whammy of intergenerational learning.
I agree with you, but I'd put it in another way. You're not transitioning out of the intensity of work. What you're doing is you're transferring your energy out of work into other things. So you still have the same energy that you have before you transition. It's just you're moving that energy into non-work things.
Getting close to retirement considerations, Alan?
but we need to start early.
But instead of thinking that people no longer have a role in the workplace, that's what I mean. I meant intensity in terms of their work obligations, that they may choose to just do part-time or be a consultant advisor or get them trained to sit on boards or whatever it is that we can still learn from their experiences.
The thing that strikes me is that, if someone retires at 70, which is a lot older than what maybe our parents would have been contemplating, they might live for another 20, 30 years. So
there's so much resource there, rich resource.
And a 70-year-old these days can be quite energetic.
Yeah, so you talk about the life.
I'm banking on 85 being the new 50, mate.
Well, we're talking about the life cycle of work, the life cycle of the worker.
Absolutely.
And this is an extension of that. And it appears that's where, politically, that's where it's going. So certainly from that, from that sort of sociological perspective, if the new, as you say, the new 85, is the new 50, the 85 is the new 50, it might relate to work. So there you go. It's exciting times.
Who's gonna start this? We're gonna start this. Press play and plug in the microphone cable. Next up is the crew willing and able, satisfying your thirst. Come and clean on the verse, precise and rehearse.
Episode 10, we spoke about good work design and how that's distinct or different from maybe conventional approaches to looking at whether it's safety management, whether it's looking at organizational strategy, workforce strategy, what's unique about it. And I was championing the case of having a work design strategist at an executive level, a C-suite level. Could you imagine one at your workplace, Alan?
Oh, it'd be fantastic if it was.
Among lawyers, how would that be received? Seriously.
It wouldn't fit in with traditional thinking, so I think it would be hard to get it in place.
Definitely difficult.
But it would be great if that happened. I think one of the problems is you need an outsider to come in with new ideas.
And that's it, right? You need sometimes what I call happy conflict. So, again, I'm going to give you a yoga analogy. In yoga, we often talk about whether it's the idea of your breath or muscular engagement, that there's happy conflict, there's co-contraction, that when you breathe, you inhale. I'll have you guys do it right now, right? Our listeners can do it too. When you inhale, you feel the breath traveling up through the nostrils and then down to the low of the belly. But what happens in exchange is that the muscles go in the opposite direction. When you exhale, breath comes from the belly, travels upward, and the muscles seem to move down. So there's bidirectional activity, happy conflict for life force to occur, right? Co-contract around muscles, reciprocal innervation. You need to contract one area of the body to relax the other area, right? So it's happy conflict. So if you can have some divergent ideas, some differences in thought that it still has a level of safety, a climate where this conflict can occur, and people accept that and don't take it personal, right? You can actually just have an exchange of ideas and debate ideas rather than tear someone down. That's the scenario I'm giving. That's used in a healthful, constructive way to debate ideas. A bit like how we do in this room most of the time. Or you guys give in and say...
Give in to the designer.
Give in. No. Like,
Take us to your
I
leader.
want some of this debate. I want to be challenged, I've had to learn, I'm not always right. Dun dun. You heard it once, you'll only hear it once. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, same thing must happen where you've got to debate case law. So much is not just black and white. It really depends on the social milieu, what's happening, the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times, as to how a case might be interpreted in the social world, right?
Yep.
But it just dawned on me just how onomatopoeic you are.
Oh, I love that. My son taught me that word.
Dun, dun, whoosh, and you gave the opening of the door and the bus. Yeah, do that again. Very onomatopoeic.
My son learns this word in primary school. I'm like, what?
Onomatopoeia.
Or for maybe in my first year of high school. I loved it. You're 7. Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, and you're very onomatopoeic.
I also speak with my hands a lot. Have you noticed that? The Italian in me?
Oh, no.
I do this a lot. And now, here's my other thing I do. Sign language, American Sign Language, when I'm thinking out loud. So I do this when I'm solving problems. I'm very
Which finger is that? Oh, right.
Hey?
Which finger was that?
Which? Are you saying I just gave you the finger?
No, it's the right side of the brain or the left side of the brain. That's
I
it.
didn't say anything. I just said which finger's that. You gave me the answer.
Yeah. So the right hand is used, so the left brain, right? This little logic, and I'm solving problems. So you'll see me sometimes, and my son's like, "Oh, there she goes again." And literally, I might be spelling Trajce, thinking about it.
Inside?
I can say "Happy birthday."
So what about the left
to
hand?
you? Well, it's involved in when there's bilateral actions. Like there's a lot of words that you use 2 hands for. That's just happy birthday to you, dear Alan.
Okay. Yeah.
Where did that come from? Your interest in?
When I was 8 years old, I was certain that I was going to be a sign language interpreter.
Wow.
The other thing I wanted to be was a ventriloquist. the third thing I just remembered was a magic show practitioner on the stage of Las Vegas.
Wow.
So I had a few career options early in my life.
Okay. Now, I'm,
Ventriloquy.
I might have been ventriloquist to sign language with the other hand, maybe, right? I don't know. And magic shows. That was full package could have been created.
so I noticed that you're mostly using your right hand there.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. For right hand, for American
because you're
sign.
mostly logical?
Well, there you go. If you want to say that. No, that's the conventions. There are conventions in sign language.
Sarah the Conjurer.
Another C word. And you're a composer, music composer, before you started to get into law.
This is all C.
Did you?
All right.
Now, you've always your social profile. Would you say your avatar is a lawyer? Did you have anything else in mind before going into law school, Alan?
Yes, I did.
What was?
So I was
It
looking
was-
at agriculture.
Chicken
cool.
farming.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes I've tried to say, people ask me, "Are you an ergonomist?" And they ask, "What's an ergonomist?" They go, and they think it's agronomist, and I'm like, well, it feels like I push shit uphill sometimes, right? But no, it's not. So you actually wanted to work, and you
There's
you live on
more
a
to
farm, right?
farming than shit.
Yeah, or shoveling it. And you live on a farm-ish right now and have a tractor, right?
Acreage, yes.
Acreage. I've had
Yeah.
chicken eggs from your
Yes.
hens. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is obviously, was this a childhood thing to be an agriculturalist?
It was. It was. It
That's
runs in the
excellent.
family.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's-
But okay, so work design talks about the serious conventions, using that terminology, or the design discipline of design in the workplace, because too often decisions are made at work, and I don't think that enough has been done through that flow of discovery, consultation, engagement, getting people who know the job to be involved, and then facilitating it with a design partner who understands human performance well. And the curation of design partners, the cultivation of these partners, the curation of a design thinking and practice in a business, and the cultivation of design partners in a really structured way. Who do you know already on hand, and do you already have a supplier agreement with? An architect, several, interior designers, instructional designers, web designers, graphic designers, go through the list, engineering designers, industrial designers, da-da-da. Do you already have that, and you have relationships that are ready to deploy so that you keep good design practices happening throughout the organization?
And that's the detailed stuff, but if you pull back and look at the big issue
macro,
stuff,
yeah.
it's what's the purpose of this business? What are you trying to achieve? and
Always start with
how
the
do you
business
want to
purpose.
achieve it?
And that's right. And then how are you going to design for human performance, because they are human tasks around executing that business objective.
Yep.
Bingo.
And that's purpose. We looked at workers and workers' perceptions, and we looked at friendship and whether or not you need to be friends with somebody at work.
Yeah, Alan, you were saying that you can have a project and work with someone, but not necessarily have to like everybody on that team.
Yeah, that's something that I learned from another speaker, and we talked about that in season 1. And you have to have respect for your co-workers, and you have to treat your co-workers with respect, but you don't have to be their friend. If you're treating them with respect, that should be enough.
Just to get the work job done.
To get the work job done, and respect means that you are polite and that you don't cause offence, but that you might not want to go and party with them after work.
No.
You might
Yeah,
not want to
yeah.
go for a drink. You might not want to go around to their house
Christen their
and
child.
meet their family.
Yeah.
No, you might
Right.
not want any of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you might.
You
Or
might.
you might
Well,
develop friendships.
Here's the thing.
If the tribal culture permits that.
That's right, and I agree with you, but I may not necessarily want to go and visit and go for drinks afterwards, but between that bone dry, look, I just have to respect you and let's get on with this job, and the soaping wet, I want to be your best mate and we're going to be completely best buddies.
Spa date party.
Did you say soaking wet?
Yes, so from
Spa
bone
date
dry,
party. Bone dry.
bone
soaking
dry
wet,
to
yeah.
soaking wet over the top, right? Somewhere in the middle, you'll find me. I do need to like you, and there's got to be a friendship thing going on.
But can you
Otherwise,
still-
we wouldn't be doing this.
Can you still actually debate an issue, not agree on an issue, and be friends with someone? Because I was talking
Absolutely.
about that. So I can too, right? Absolutely.
But I have
not
to have-
everyone can, though.
No, but I have to
and
have a likability.
culturally, it's different.
For me, I've got to have that likability. I've got to know who that human is.
So the
behind.
yeah.
I don't need your personal stuff, but
Do you
I just
know-
need to know a bit more about that human. I just need
Trajce, it's interesting. When you and I first started, I met you through
Yeah.
university
We hadn't met
teaching,
for years.
and I had a presentation to deliver at AIHS, the Australian Institute of Health
Yeah.
and Safety, their national conference in New South Wales. And I saw this shadow in the room in the back, and you
Yeah.
had to found out later that was Trajce, and I actually
The shadow.
the shadow.
I was
But-
loitering with intent. No, I wasn't.
But-
I was a delegate.
But I appreciated that Trajce made the effort to come see me speak, and just to learn a little bit more about what my area of work
Yeah, I
was.
learn about cabins still. I remember your presentation
vehicle.
very well. Absolutely.
Oh, I see you
See,
remembers.
here's the thing. I've known Sarah for years, but I'd only met Sarah in person for the first time last year. Now, here's the
Because
thing.
we worked remote for so long.
And so for me, there had to be a vibe, and I can only put that down to that likability or that friendship dimension.
Aw.
If it was just clinical respect, I'm not sure that in other words, my point is, it felt like a friendship that I've known her for years. To get that sort of
It was the
level of-
European. I've got
Yeah, that is.
Italian and Polish in me here.
You
So.
use one, I use two hands. It's
That's
a
it.
Balkan thing. But the thing is, Slavs with two
The
hands.
emotional, I can go there, right?
Yeah, but for me, I think that had to have been more than just, here is a co-worker who's an expert in this field who's delivering these lectures. There had to have been more for me than to have perceived that we were that we'd known each other in person for a while as friends, but not really.
Yeah.
We hadn't met.
The purpose of the concept is not to say that don't be friends with other
No.
people at work. The
But get
purpose
on
of the
with things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that if you find yourself in a work environment where you don't like the other people,
Yeah.
that's okay. Just treat them with respect.
I think
Fair
that's your
enough.
basic
Absolutely.
modicum. You've got to start with that, yeah. But my point is, it's complex because, again, not one size fits all. And for me, I need to work in a dynamic. I need to know that the energy's there. And I don't overstate it. Like I said, I don't go, right, what's happening afterwards? Let's go for drinks. Not unless it naturally happens. But
Yeah.
I do not. For me, the work is work. But within that work construct, it's got to be a little bit more than nod, hello,
Yeah.
close
And,
the door. I need more than that, but that's just me.
It's funny. I've one of my clients speaks about this idea of trying to make sure people learn about work outside of their own department, and how funny they find they have this beautifully designed workspace that has some agile activity-based work, but also has a lot of open plan areas. And he tells me that people come to their little open plan, oftentimes choose the same desk anyway that they always go to. And because of the dissolution of physical barriers and separation, they create more mental barriers. And they don't step away. They don't get up to go talk to anyone else, which was the antithesis of what the design intention was for this open space, right? And then he's really concerned that there's not more interaction, and he makes a point to join his team members up to go have regular meetings with other departments just to learn about their world of work. And there's sometimes there are actual apps now that companies can buy into that will help do I'm going to use the term dating app, but it's more a term like meet somebody from outside your traditional workplace. It's contextualized for the workplace. I'm going to meet someone from this department at any level, and you go have virtual coffee dates, and you just meet up and learn about their way of thinking, just to mix it up, keep innovation happening, keep the tribal culture broad, respectful, and understand what their position is, because that often just doesn't have too much siloed work. The larger the organization, the more the silos sometimes.
Compartmentalization.
C.
It's silos. S. Well, same thing.
Compartmentalization. We'll go back to that anchor.
Silo, C, S. We're still in the same.
Culture. There we go. The typical C for tribal
That's
culture.
Right.
Capital C.
Silo.
Awesome.
That's sort of a C, isn't it? Even though it's an S. Silo. Anyway.
Who's gonna start this? We're gonna gonna start this? Press play and plug in the microphone cable. Next up is the crew willing and able, satisfying your thirst. Come and clean on the verse, precise and right.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of WhyWHAT. You've been listening to Trajce, Sara and Alan, and if you'd like to know more about some of the things we've talked about today, please subscribe, and we'd be more than happy to provide you with information and other things that may interest you. Please be aware that none of the matters we've talked about today should be construed as legal advice or any other type of advice. We're just here to talk about all things related to work. See you next time.
Never seek the mass appeal, nah. Give the fans something they can take home and feel. Let's get started, 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 let's get started. Who's gonna start this? We're gonna start this. Break off style like it's edible, never uncredible.